Ladies and gentlemen, James Marter is with us tonight. He's running out of the 11th Congressional District out of Illinois. He is also chairman of the Republican Party in his county there. James Marter, you are unabashedly and unashamedly pro-life. First and foremost, is that a negative with those who are in your county or in your congressional district? And then secondly, how does that apply with those who are part of the Illinois Republican chapters or Republican Party?
Look, the Republican Party membership in Illinois is very conservative, strong pro-life when you look at the membership. The leadership in Illinois has not been so good on that issue. You go back to our previous former governor, who was a Republican, and he was the most pro-abortion Republican in the Republican Party in the entire country. And he's one of the reasons that we had a big bad year in 2018. I mean, the effect of the negatives of him doing those things in our party had consequences, and some in my congressional. And I did want to correct. I'm in Illinois 14th congressional district.
Me.
The 11th is right. It's actually also touches my county. They're both in my county, but I'm in the 14th. And my congressman lost, and Peter Roskman, the 6th, lost. And trust me,
rally that is coming up in a couple of weeks here in Washington, D.C. What does it mean to you, if you could express it? What does the life of a child mean to you?
Look, this is the most precious, most innocent of all life. It's a human being from the moment of conception. These are God's gift to all of humanity. They're human beings. They need to be protected, and that's what it means to me. And I was at the March for Life in Chicago. We have a big march. It's been going on for a number of years. I've been down there last 5 years, and this year we had 9,000 people come out for it. It's growing. And the great thing about it, it's young. There's more young people there than all of us old folks, right? So it's great to see that the pro-life generation is younger people. It's students, it's college students, it's high school students coming out with their groups and with their parents and their families, and the march is growing. And look, we've got to defend life. Nothing else matters if we're not defending life. So,
exactly.
That's what it means to me. I've never been to the march in Washington. I would love to go. I'm in the middle of a campaign now, so I can't. I believe it's this Friday, right? It's on the 24th.
That's correct.
But next year I am going to be there. If I'm congressman, I'll be there. If I'm not, I'm going to be there. Next year I'm going to be in Washington no matter what. So,
listen, Donald Trump was the first American president in the history of our country to speak at the March for Life. Not just send a videotape, but actually speak at the March for Life. Were you shocked when he did that, or do you think it's in his nature to be as pro-life as he is?
Look, I'm so grateful for him to be there, number one. And I wouldn't say shocked. I was amazed, and I was happy, and as all of us were, right? Yeah. And this man has stood for what he said he was going to do when he ran. And back then, look, even I had my doubts. Is he going to really do what he said? Right? The Freedom Caucus motto is: this guy going to do what he said? He said he was going to do these things. You know what's amazing? He is doing what he said, exactly what he said. He told us what he's going to do, and he's out there doing it. And I became a big supporter of his when he became the nominee. Before that, I would say I was kind of watching things closely, but I wasn't sure. Yeah. And so I put this bumper sticker on my car, summer 2016. It's been on there ever since. It's been to D.C. and back, downtown Chicago, Detroit, all around the country. And look, this man has done what he said, but he's not getting the help he needs. You had 2 years of a Republican Congress. They didn't get the job done. I was there at the inauguration, and the Republican Congress should have had a bill on his desk to do a whole bunch of things, but one was repeal Obamacare. It was a big issue to me, a big issue still today. Yes. I mean, and we should have had the bill for the wall. We should have had, pro-life bills, getting rid of defunding Planned Parenthood out of the budget. All that should have been done by the Republican Congress when we had the House, the White House, and the Senate. They didn't get the job done. We need to send fighters to Washington who will get the job done and help our president get the things done he promised to do.
Amongst the Democrat socialist tyrants, um, Barack Hussein Obama was seen as an icon and virtually as
Yeah.
a king, that he could sign executive order after executive order to make things happen on his desk. Is that something that you wanted to see out of Donald Trump, or do you believe he's left to do that because he doesn't have the support of conservatives like you?
Yeah, not so much. Look, I'm a constitutional conservative. I think that the executive power, so to speak, is vested in the executive function. So there's nothing wrong with executive orders that are both constitutional and part of what the executive branch is supposed to be doing. But when Barack Obama pulled out his pen and started rewriting law from the White House, then that's not right. And he's not the only president that did it. Where there were Republicans or Democrats, they all were doing it, right?
Yeah,
Some worse than others. But that's also what our Supreme Court is supposed to check. But with all the leftists on the Supreme Court, we haven't had much of a check and balance on that.
very true.
And even the House, they have a job to check. The House and the Senate have a job to check. And let's return us to a constitutional, limited government where we're doing the functions based on the enumerated powers in the Constitution and our amendments. And then we also start to respect even more our 10th Amendment, where the powers are reserved to the states or to the people if it's not delegated to the federal government.
One of the most dangerous things that is overlooked um, is the power of the congressional body to actually institute personhood law. We know that by the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment, speaking on Martin Luther King Day, the liberation and emancipation of slaves. But for
Right.
abortion, it seems that the 14th Amendment was used in a very corruptible sense to justify the death of children. Should the
Right.
next Congress be responsible for presenting legal documentation of legislative opinion that a child is a person subject to the natural rights of men?
Absolutely. Look. The Congress has the authority and the responsibility to defend life. I think number one, and also to defend our Constitution against what is and I'll say it every time you ask me. It's an unconstitutional ruling which happened in 1973 in Roe versus Wade. I mean, you get into the details of it, and I can't explain it fully, but one of
Yeah.
the first political books I read almost 30 years ago now was Robert Bork's book, where he talked about, a little bit about his situation and being borked, as we say. But
Yeah.
he also explained in very clear terms to a layman here in terms of the law exactly what was wrong with the ruling in Roe versus Wade. It's a great book. Is 1992 around that time frame. But it explains exactly and lays out why Roe versus Wade is unconstitutional and how they used, as you said, a corrupt process, mental gymnastics, if you will, to use things that they shouldn't have been using, incorrect precedents and incorrect rulings over a series of other cases, and they used it to flip the Constitution on its head.
USMCA just signed by the president, as well as a trade agreement with China last week, during a time period where the left is celebrating solemnly his impeachment, or at least the impeachment process beginning in the U.S. Senate. I want to ask you, for the people of Illinois, how important are those trade agreements for the farmers, for the laborers, for the manufacturers, for the auxiliary businesses that participate as a result of what's done with those core groups?
Right. So look, I've spent most of my time as a professional in manufacturing, both in agricultural industries, process chemical, energy, all kinds of manufacturing. And I live in a very agricultural district where lots of agriculture, very important to us, very important to most of Illinois. I grew up in Illinois, been around agricultural. businesses, products, clients of mine my entire life. And it's a big deal because, he used the tariffs to bring these other countries, these bad trading partners in check. Great, great strategy, art of the deal type stuff, right? He
Yeah.
brings the big stick and threatens them and then follows through with the threat, and then he gets them to the table. And now we have much better deals than we had in place, both with Mexico and Canada and in China. And that is what a president's supposed to do. He's supposed to do that, and the Congress is supposed to be there and back him up on it. So thank God they did. We
Exactly.
need to have better trade deals with everyone. And you know what? If there's bad things about these deals, and we come down a couple of years down the road, let's toss out those bad things and fix them. That's what our Congress and that's what our president should be doing for us all the time. Sometimes they create law in Washington, and it's a bad deal, but no one wants to admit it. And they're like, because they're all afraid, right? It's like, well,
Yeah.
if we do something wrong, we ought to be going out and fix it because they represent us, the people, not their own self and not their longevity and their term limits 100%. So I will help the new Congress put term limits in place so that we don't have, Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's and even Mitch McConnell's and folks that are there all their life, it seems like. So
Exactly. I love the fact that you do not wish to invest the rest of your life in the swamp. That's an
no,
excellent choice on your behalf. Um,
yes,
and query to your neighbor to the north, because a lot of attention is placed on our neighbors to the south. But your neighbor to
right.
the north, the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said last week that he blamed the United States for over 67 people being killed on a plane that was shot down by the Iranians. And he blamed Donald Trump for the escalation of warfare with Iran. I want to get your thoughts on that because you would be responsible as a congressional leader to address appropriations, both foreign and domestic. What do you believe is the right policy for dealing with Iran? And then, secondly, is Justin Trudeau out of step by placing the blame on Donald Trump instead of the Ayatollahs?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, Justin Trudeau is way out of line in trying to blame Donald Trump and not the Ayatollahs. I stand with my president. He's done the right thing on this. Our embassy in Baghdad is sovereign U.S. soil. My opponent, Lauren Underwood, doesn't get that. She thought that was a mistake. We're defending. He killed one of our officials, Marines there, I believe it was, and he's killed hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans, and certainly thousands, if not 10,000s, of people as one of the leading terrorists in the world. He's an enemy combatant, and he attacks our embassy, our sovereign soil, and they don't get it. I mean, I don't understand. That our allies, Canada, should be standing with us. Look, I know the Canadian people. I've had lots of good Canadian friends that I've worked with in industry. I've worked on projects in Canada. I went there with a work permit, a visa under NAFTA, traveled in there, so I know the rules, how that works. Worked there for almost a year under the NAFTA agreement and under the rules there, and we followed the rules. We had the right paperwork, and when I'm done, guess what? I don't stay in a foreign country. I come back home. So, but God bless our good conservative Canadian allies up there. There's a lot of them. So trust me, I think Justin may this probably will be his last time after the next cycle. I know he squeaked by this last time, but I
Hopefully,
think
this is
he's
it.
yeah.
Do you have a problem with the War Powers Act? Do you believe that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional?
I have my doubts about it in some respects. I would say this and be honest about it is I need to study up on it. I need to learn from our good conservative constitutional scholars like Mark Levin
Yes.
and others, and but I think there's a limited role for Congress in passing legislation about what can happen there and what can't. But it is crystal clear to me that Congress is the sole power to declare a war. And I think there were way too many engagements in my lifetime, and some started before I was born, in Korea and Vietnam and whatnot. where Congress did not declare war, and they should have. If we were going to be there in those type of engagements, they absolutely should have declared war. I think you can argue that the post 9/11 engagements in Afghanistan and Iraq, there was a war declared. They just didn't title it war. But, 98 senators, including Hillary Rodham Clinton and John Kerry, voted for those resolutions to authorize the use of force. So
Exactly.
my preference would have been to see those actually declared a war at that time. It would have been real easy, right? The war on terrorists. We're going after the terrorists, and we're having a war, folks, because we were in a war, and we still are in many
Exactly.
respects.
I like the fact that you
So
mentioned that we are still
yeah,
at war, on the war on
right.
terrorism.
It
So
hasn't stopped.
if you're a terrorist, I mean, why do we need an explanation? You're gone.
Yeah, yeah.
President
And
Obama didn't
Congress
find it a
needs to
problem.
reauthorize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
President.
every couple of years they need to reauthorize too. They
Mhm.
shouldn't be unending, blank checks either.
Exactly. But President Obama didn't have a problem killing an American citizen who was considered a terrorist. I don't understand why we're in a fight to explain why we're killing a terrorist from a terrorist state. In finality, with my query here with you, and this won't be the last time, we're going to have you back very soon. James Marter, running for the 14th Congressional District in Illinois. Here's the query to our border friend to the south. Um, should we work with them in terms of destroying the cartels as domestic terrorist threats? Your opinion?
Yeah, yeah. Look, we should look to our friends and neighbors in Mexico and all of Central America, because you know what would be great for everybody in this world. It'd be for them to all have the liberty we have.
Yeah.
I've actually worked 3 separate projects in Mexico. I've worked some time and had a visa to go to Sao Paulo in Brazil. And so I've worked south of the border quite a bit of time, not quite a number of weeks, flown in and out of different places, or driven over the border at McAllen, Texas, and Eagle Pass, Texas, to my client sites over there.
Mm-hmm.
And look, what they need is freedom to own your own business and manage it. And they've got these cartels in bed with the government, and you got to break that cycle down there. They need
Exactly.
freedom and liberty like we have. We should be wishing and helping all of our neighbors, all of our friends, all of our people around the world to learn freedom, and that's what we should be exporting, right? And I don't mean that in the sense of nation building, but I mean in the sense of leading it and working trade agreements so that it forces them to do these kind of things, right? And
Exactly.
calling them out and leading them and being a leader, and using our bully pulpit as the world's greatest nation, and blessed by God. Without God's blessing, we wouldn't be where we're at today as the greatest nation in the world. But we have a battle in our hand to defend that. We have a battle to keep it the greatest nation, and we're under attack on all fronts. And
James
our
Marter, we would
president
love
is.
to see you. We would love to see you in Washington D.C. Tell everyone how they can support you. What is it that your campaign needs? Where can people best assist you?
Yeah, you can donate at our campaign online. You can send us a check. My website is my last name spelled Marter. That's Marter, the number 4, Congress.us. You can find us there. The same thing, Marter for Congress. Or just Marter for Congress on Twitter and Facebook. Go to our page, follow our link. Every donation will help us out. Um, Primary is very soon in Illinois, March 17th. Our early voting starts in a couple of
Yeah.
weeks, so we have a lot going on, a lot of ground game. I've got a great team of volunteers and grassroots folks, and we're getting out there knocking on doors in the middle of winter. We're going to get this thing done.
James, you're not supposed to give credit to your team. You're supposed to take all the credit like Joe Biden. What are you doing?
look, it's my team. It's not me. God bless them. I'd be nowhere without them. They're the people that I work for. They're the people that make me get up every day and work as hard as I possibly can to win this nomination and then win the general election in the fall.
Listen, we're excited about your campaign. We look forward to you coming back in a few weeks in preparation for the big vote on the 17th of March. 14th Congressional District, ladies and gentlemen, James Marter. You have got to go to his website, marterforcongress.us. or go to Twitter or Facebook at Marter for Congress. We will be right back with more of the best right after these messages. Thank you, James.
All right. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you.